Hey guys, sorry for not posting much during this period. I'm preparing for birthday and had a small vacation. So if you can support me with a like, please, it will help a lot. Today I'm really excited to show you X4 Foundation. Thanks to X4 team Agosoft for supporting and supplying me with a copy. But don't worry guys, I'm not gonna be very basic about them. Don't really worry. So let's begin and let's have a look at how X4 doing 2 years after its release. I'm very excited to play these games after I played the X4 3 on PlayStation 2, so it's gonna be really fun. Let's start. The X4 series, for those new to it, are really immersive space simulator sandbox games that simulates what it will be like if you've spent the thousands of hours obsessing peeling money so you can build the bigger and bigger factories until you're the largest economic powerhouse in a galaxy that turns the traitor and declares wars on the rest of the universe, just to watch all the things everyone built go boo. The X series isn't so much a single game as a grab bag of random game loops constantly on a tab, where individual opportunities are nevertheless available only for a limited time. Oh, playing on the same fear of missing out that drives you to buy things on sale. It's especially designed to feed the sense of desire to acquire more invisible if you're not sort of that's vulnerable to the sensation. Welcome to your latest, fortunately upfront priced edition. While played entirely from a first-person perspective, as you buy more ships and hire crews to staff and fly them, the game becomes something of an RTS in combat, and a business management game as you build and manage factories. This kitchen sink approach to game design means that you can spend an hour managing your business logistics, and as soon as you hit your limit and get bored, you can just hop into the destroyer and go smash alien space sensations until you feel better before sitting down and finishing your paperwork. It's a game where you definitely make a way to make money faster and better, but the real fun is to be found in going at your own pace. I can't beat around it, so I have to start off with my biggest frustration and disappointment with X4. The game is generally touted as having a wide range of support of controls, but the problem is that it's fundamentally not true, because of the baffling design choices and unrateable controls that ruin many custom control schemes, and ultimately forces you to use a HOTAS or other joystick with tons of buttons. Forgo use of some of important controls, or just what is basically is default control scheme with no matter what you wanted to do. I honestly wanted to spend up around 7 hours in the game just cursing and having to rebind controls because of some new aspects of the game interface flows would ruin a control scheme of a comfortable with. X4 however has some of the features in that makes its own if you so much nudge the mouse. It freezes up your control and invalidates all commands. At this point I own a Steam controller, so I try to make the Steam controller emulate keyboard buttons. Only some other not bug, it's a feature of X4 control scheme somehow to make it ignore my Steam controller, even while it's supposed by pressing keyboard buttons. If I don't send the game to recognize an X input controller, additionally even thought I have left the trigger set to press the Q key do the rolls to the left if the mouse has been moved in a way in the past several seconds. Tapping the trigger buttons will constantly kill the throttle. Needless to say, because I won't roll mostly in combat, I use mouse for aiming in combat, and I never want to come to dead stop in a combat. This is reactionary and frustrating. When X-Reverse was in the works, one of the things people were saying needed to be done was a redesign of the interface. The interface was designed without a lot of features that were people saying that needed to be done, and were later added in, like let's say X3 AP. In my mind, it's what the menu was so cluttered, and the interface would never be to be rebuilt with all the features in mind. It'd be a new interface with a Mass Effect copying radial menus with 6 options for everything, and that's make things better for the people using controllers somehow. Again, I did use controller to navigate in the menu in X3 and it worked out quite well. X3's menu was fairly responsible and it's always ordered the same way, so I just got used to the mashing out on a quick series of the bad presses to get something like ordering a player-owned ship-to-ship jump, then navigating the sector map and hitting the confirm twice to order jump. Well, let's get a little bit away from this. The orders menu is an absolute nightmare of multiple nested menus, where a single misclick or forgetting to hit confirm buttons in 3 different places for same orders before clicking anything else will navigate everything you just did. I have to emphasize misclick because in the list there are significant gaps between choices, where you think you're clicking on a choice but you're actually clicking between 2 choices in a list, and that counts to invalidate every command you've put in that comment, making you go through 4 or 5 layers of menu all over again. I don't even remember if it was possible issue orders while paused in X3, because I never did it, but it seems to be assumed the default control scheme in X4 is such a flaming disaster that you have to pause the game to issue most orders to any allied ships. I'm certainly not the only one who has the trouble. I think it's actually better that the most, judging by the way who make the tutorial on YouTube videos for X4, seem to have constantly paused the game to look down at their keyboard to perform even basic functions. I just try to actually build a working control scheme out of what the game is giving me, in spite of itself. In X3, it said right in the manual that your main goal is just to make money. Well, you're basically one of those capitalism games where your main goal is activity. Well, yeah, basically this is one of those capitalism games where your main activity is making money for the purpose of spending it on more manufacture and factories that make you even more money. One of the problems with just making money, however, is that once you get the factories and miners, traders set up, your space empire makes money for you. So while you can go do missions if you want, there is no real in-game benefit most of them, as you're making vastly more money just letting your gas miners, cars, nebulas and helium methods that you are pulling in the taxi missions. To this end, there is a lot of stuff that money cannot buy, or at least buy in significant quantities readily. This is what the player inventory, that is separately from the ship inventory, is mostly for. You can see the ship inventory item price galaxy wide if you set up a price large enough to satellite network. But you to pay a player inventory items like secure containers, you need to scour black markets routinely and person because they only show their inventory while trading them with face to face. This is also basically the only gameplay purpose of having the on-foot mode, as it otherwise generally serves as a meaningless commute between the things that are actually interesting. The graphics of the station are certainly good. I can see the hypocritical appeal of being able to tour you actually. Beyond that, there are also many cosmetic items and special ship upgrades that are tied to competing faction quests, which makes up the main storyline. Some minor factions have a linear plotline, but the major ones have productal missions that can spawn immediately after being essentially 4 successive basic missions, with some more variety of overreaching theme. For example, a couple expand our satellite coverage missions and a couple repair our damaged satellite missions, or a couple combat patrols and the couple kill the specific ship missions targeting the factions the quest griever at the time the war with. As mentioned before, X Rebirth is a more linear narrative, didn't go over well in the part because of the plot madness. A majority trading company become your permanently enemy, and it's not even supposed to be just your own past sandbox game, so being more specific trader was invalid as the play style. Even in X3 I found the story missions to be an annoying horde that really couldn't ignore. Well, but this is a difference, to be honest. X4 did much better work here in this part, so a big props to Agosoft for this part. You know, I criticized a lot about controls and small things that are kind of, how do you say, appear to give your opinion on the gameplay. But a lot of good things that you want to see and low, they are all on like the ground, on your menu and everything. This is the small stuff that you are really starting to see when you're getting deep into the game. But this is for the reason that the game is interesting. Beyond the plot mostly revolves around the faction reputation, you can enjoy basically every faction in the game besides the always hostile Xenon and Cog, just by raising your faction reputation to 10. Reputation is the most easily gained by either trading with them or destroying enemy threatening their station. Leaving a mining ship after mining and selling in one faction sector is an easy way to build a faction reputation passively. The game starts with some factions at war, such as Parent Knight, Civil War, and clearing all the missions of linear plots, of achieving certain goals of potential factions missions, with trigger choices opportunities that can get factories to agree to a peace or a cause of further conflict. As mentioned earlier, there is a major rubber banding of a quest like this was in X3. In X3, missions would have a higher difficulty when you have a higher ranks, and combat missions in particular scale to the power of you. In selector missions, assets but payouts, with the combat of power of oppositions as well. It can sound cheesy that the game just spawns in more enemies from nowhere when you get a better ship, but X4 now has a targetable components, meaning you can go for one, directly shoot an engine to kill the mobility ship. Going to the turret strips of the ship its capacity to fight back, and if you're a small fighter, you better take those flak turrets out first. To add this, there is a new feature where flying near a capital ship with flight assist on will have you automatically match the speed, and your movements then will be related to the ship, allowing to fly around and moving capital ship like it were stationary, and the use of the ship itself covered from its own turrets. As added neat feature, capital ships have a L-size shield generators for the whole ship, but local M-size shield generators to specifically cover certain parts like engines or turrets. The engines are the only shielded by the smaller M-size shield, which are an order of magnifying the weaker the L-size shields, so it's possible for a small fighter to blast them, to take them out engines even if they don't have the guns pound down a destroyer shield on their own. Boarding, for the matter, only works on the capital ships. Smaller ships will have the crew bail out as they take hull damage, so the best way to accomplish is that they have to rapid fire low H full damage weapon, like previously Boron, to give a lot of the gentle encouragements to get out of the ship before the task just ups, even against a lone captain. There is no dedicated troop transports in the game, and to be honest, well, I don't know, they might fix some problems, but not in a big way. In X4 there is not only still applies, but the two factors that are always your enemies, Xenon and Hag, are always the fastest and more maneuverable ships in the light scales to the most of the enemies in the game for the maximum annoyance. To the end, EgoSoft has tried to add more choices to the game by having a different type of every equipment. For a start, weapons already were the most unique thing, but while there is fewer weapons overall, they do feel more distinct from one another. There are powerful plasma cannons with a long range but slow reload times, and slow projectiles that effectively constant stream of laser fire that deals slow burner damage for as long as you can make the turret go under the reticle, and the short battery is a laser shotgun that trades in the accurate to where the pipe is aimed for. I still think X3 is a great looking game and the game that the agent had in the PS2 era, but to be honest, the setup that X4 has is actually amazing. You know, I criticized a lot the game in the beginning, but I wanna say that this is a game that made me tear up a little bit, because this is the game from my really early childhood that I played on PlayStation 2 a lot, really a lot, around 300 hours I spent in the game. So for me, trying this game was a really nice fresh breath, trying something new. I really loved playing it, having some problems, even with a lot of criticism that I have. It's because I love the series and I love the game. You know, I wanna give the score of I'm trying to make it look like I'm thinking, but I already know that I'll give the game 7.8, just because I really very sentimental to the game. And you always criticize something that you love because you want it to be better. Thank you so much again to Egosoft team for supplying me with the key to this great game. I hope in the future the game will develop even more and we will see a lot of great things in the game. Thank you so much for being with me in this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Trust me, this time I'm not gonna disappear for long. Bye bye.